Now, I'm 20 right now, but at the age of 18, I was asked to feature on one of the most famous business magazines in the world, Forbes. In this video, I'm going to go over my exact journey for how I was able to achieve that so that you can do it as well. Now, for those of you watching that don't know what Forbes is, let me explain. Forbes is one of the most prestigious and well-regarded business magazines in the entire world, often showcasing different people like leading entrepreneurs, financial leaders, and also industry pioneers. Now, to properly break down this journey, we got to start all the way back in time. So we'll go back to when I was 16 years old. It's about 4 years ago. And during this time, I was just randomly scrolling social media. This was peak COVID as well. And one of the biggest things that really pissed me off is I saw these different people that were living crazy lifestyles and they were making people's yearly salaries in months. And I was sitting there really pissed off. My biggest question to myself was, why are they able to do that? Because the way that I thought money worked and the way that I thought jobs and everything in life worked at the point was, you have to become a doctor, you have to do all these different things, and then you get into those brackets. I didn't know there was alternatives and workarounds outside of the traditional system that you can go through. And once people do become successful in it, it often gets patched. There are very few people that are able to follow in those footsteps. So one thing I did realize at the time is if I wanted to do something big, I had to be unique. Now, one day I was sitting there and it's the best decision I had ever made. Why not just make an attempt? What would be the worst possible thing that could happen to me?
Dale, dale, dale.
If I just gave it 80% effort at the start and maybe let's see how it goes. So I ended up starting my own business. Throughout this video, I'm gonna actually give you some really important life advice. Even though I'm younger, I have put a lot of hours, thousands of hours into my life's work, being creative with everything that I've done and leading great teams as well. Think of it as just little golden nuggets. So make sure to pick up on this stuff. And I've condensed this down as much as possible to make it as straightforward as possible as well. The goal of this video is to give you some stuff that you can use to take action and actually make your life better, faster. Now, my first piece of advice for you is that no one is coming to save you. Now, my favorite quote of all time is you have to burn the ships. To summarize that, essentially what I had done is you have to get rid of every plan B, plan C, and so on, and just go with plan A. There is no other option besides succeeding with your original goal and intent. Because if you don't have those backup options, then it must work. The other thing as well is if you try your absolute hardest, there is a very, very, very small chance you will fail. And if you did everything possible in your power to do the best work and the best outcomes and to make sure that what you're doing is purposeful and has meaning to other people's lives as well, you can't fail. That's what they don't tell you. No one is going to come and tell you to put your phone down, stop doom scrolling, get up and go to the gym, stop eating like shit and eating at fast food places that are just destroying your body. You have to tell yourself. It's a lot of those feelings at 3 a.m. that people get where they suddenly just want to clean their room and they just want to make things just a bit better in their life, but you can't stop at just doing it at 3 a.m. for 30 minutes and cleaning up. You have to actually reorganize your entire life. The people who realize this faster than later are the people that become successful. I'm sure you guys have seen the stories of guys in their 40s becoming billionaires from nothing, but there are very, very few people that take it seriously from a very young age. And let's say 16 years old in my case. A lot of people are still just doing their own thing, which by all means, more to them, but I just wanted something more. I had watched videos of kids younger than me trading stocks and different stuff like that, making thousands of dollars every week and sometimes even every day, and that really did piss me off. But the thing that I had learned was I can't just jump into it because I'm not the person I need to be at this very moment, right? And the big deal with that is you have to grow into the person that is able to succeed at that. So what I did is I stepped back and I really stripped down to my core values and I looked at myself honestly and I thought, what are my pitfalls and how can I capitalize on those pitfalls to make myself better so that I don't veer off the path when I'm close to success like a lot of people end up doing. Now, this allowed me to see what I needed to change in myself to become successful. And one of the things I learned about myself is I have a very, very addictive personality, a lot towards gaming. I was playing a lot of games during the time growing up. So I wanted to change that and direct that negative personality type towards something better. Now, you see, the person you are right now is not going to make millions of dollars, and that's okay. There is knowledge out there that you need to acquire. There's skill sets that you need to master, and there's also bad habits that you need to break. And that's why all these different sort of self-help videos and books are out there, is because by reading those, you're able to identify what you actually need to work on. And every single one of you has this problem, which is exactly why I'm saying that you guys need to really strip down to your core and figure out what it is that you need to fix. Now, like I had said, I had a very addictive personality. So I really wanted to take this negative thing of playing video games way too late into the night and turn it into something positive that could end up making money in the long run. The habit I had focused on was simply just showing up every day. I didn't have a strict regimen of, get up at 6 a.m., do this, do that, up until 4 p.m. in the evening, because that is a really bad thing, especially if you read Atomic Habits. You can't just throw that all onto yourself. You have to really ease it in. So what I want to do is just show up at my desk and work for as long as possible without getting distracted, and find the sweet spot for what I can handle as a person to be as effective as possible with my time. With all the distractions nowadays as well, it's actually very, very difficult for you to just find time to sit down at your desk and work without subconsciously also finding yourself on your phone getting distracted. Our phones basically control us. Every ding and notification that pops up on your phone is a reason to distract you. I've checked my phone today and I've had 670 notifications on my phone, with a lot of my apps already muted, and I try to minimize that as much as possible, right? So the biggest thing for you to actually be successful with this is to just very crucially get rid of all the distractions and put your phone away. That's often why I work at night and I record at night, is because I don't have my phone blowing up with notifications at 1 to 4 a.m. So I can actually sit down in peace and just be with my own thoughts and get deep work done. This leads into my next big piece of advice, is you have to be obsessive, very obsessive about whatever it is that you want, whether it's money, financial freedom, location freedom, time freedom, do whatever the hell you want. You have to be so obsessed that there is one focus and one thing that you are putting all of your energy towards. I'm sure you have a friend that has a detailing company or a car washing company that's also doing X, Y, and Z thing, and he gets nothing done every day or very little work done every day. That doesn't mean anything meaningful because he has all of these spinning plates that he's working with. You have to really be obsessive over one particular thing. And that's ultimately what led me to being able to be on Forbes, is because I had one goal. Now, there are going to be times where you don't want to do the work, it's going to suck, and you're really going to not enjoy it, and you're going to have every reason to quit. And you're also going to have things in your head giving you doubt. That's the devil, and you have to block it out. The biggest part is also faith as well with obsession, because you need to be obsessed with good things, good behaviors, and good goals that impact people to do the right thing. It ultimately can end up bettering yourself as well, to be a good influence on the people around you. That's the main reason why you have to be obsessed as well, is because if you want it more than the guy next to you, you're gonna have to take it from him. This is why the majority of people don't end up becoming successful in any endeavor that they're trying to be in, is because they just don't want it bad enough, and they're super content with the lifestyles that they're living, wanting more out of life. They just simply don't have a need for it, which is why you have to be obsessed and have a need for this to happen and make sure that it does actually happen. Being obsessive will help you in the long run to avoid having those distractions bother you in the first place. A lot of the time you'll be sitting there at your desk, you don't have time to play video games, your friends are telling you to hop on the game, or people are calling and texting you, you just have a bigger priority. Now, this also means that it will take away from your social life, time from your family. There's things that you have to sacrifice to be 100% obsessed with your goal, to give it your all. And that's just something you're going to end up having to come to terms with. Now, once I had actually managed to redirect my addictive personality towards healthy habits, about a month later, I had met some guys that were into trading, as I used to resell shoes and clothes. So I had started trading with them, penny stocks, very small stuff. And I ended up making my first $1,300, $1,500. I was like, wow, what if I could do this every single day? And then my second thought immediately after that was, shit, this is going to be a very bad uphill battle. And I got lucky because I really didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of just following along to what these guys were doing, as they've been doing it for so long. And was I right? The next month I had blown all of my money on risky trades that I really didn't know what I was doing with, and I watched it evaporate in record time. And it felt like all the habits and hard work that I had done sustaining and building those habits with myself had gotten completely completely erased. I was at an all-time low for that current period of my life, and I was ultimately really, really frustrated, but I was still obsessed with my goal because I had saw the numbers there. I knew it was possible at this point because I had done it myself. And I thought, how much could I actually make if I really knew the scale and I did it properly? Now, I didn't do what every other trader does and jump in to trade more and be super aggressive. I once again took a step back and really looked at myself, and my thought was, I need to really master the skill, not go dive into trading a bunch and trying to pass funded account challenges. I had decided at this point that I would dedicate the next however many months it took for me to just sit at my desk, show up, and just watch the charts and see what I could learn on my own, which had ultimately led me to developing my own trading strategy, which everything is done by hand. It's all manual because all the strategies that I had found online when me and my buddies bootlegged a bunch of information and courses and whatever, it just led me to fail. And I knew that I had to develop my own thing. So what I'd end up doing was doing everything by hand. And I spent day and night just working towards this one goal that I had. And I was obsessed about it. Ended up finding the consistent patterns that I wanted to and built a real strategy over the course of what I had not known then, but I know now, which was about 7-8 months. And I had also been able to understand price action and the psychology and meaning that actually is behind all those little candles on the chart that represent so much data and also a lot of human emotion behind them. During this time, I wasn't just trading on one specific thing. I was mastering and getting good at many, many different markets, and at the very least, watching them and giving them my full attention to find correlations between different assets and just try to understand how they behaved with each other and also at different periods of the day so I could develop a strategy around this. On the side note here as well, if you guys have ever seen those videos that talk about a Bitcoin trading strategy, those are usually bullshit, because if a strategy is truly bulletproof, it should be adaptable to all markets, because all markets are essentially the same with just the data and the different sessions that they break. So unless you have some sort of news-based strategy or time-based strategy in the morning with market open, the candlestick strategies or different trading strategies that you're using should be applicable to all markets. If they're not, that means that there's something missing that you need to then work on the other asset with to find and fill in the gap for your strategy as a whole to actually reinforce it and make it stronger. This paves the way for my third piece of advice to give you guys, which is stop expecting to be successful at something within the first 3 months. You actually need to spend a lot more time than that. I'm sure you guys have seen online, I'm gonna spend 6 months doing this, which is great. It takes 4 weeks to break habits and 2 weeks to build new ones, which is a decent amount of time, but that's just the start, because you actually have to work towards mastering the skill, which takes thousands of hours. Everyone thinks it's so easy nowadays, but in reality, a lot of people quit after months of not seeing growth or progress. But in reality, it takes years to get a degree. It takes years to get promoted at a job. It takes years to get good at a skill, and it takes years to learn a language. So you expect to be amazing at a high income skill in 2 to 4 months? No chance. Every failure that you take is one step closer towards success, and the sooner you get that attitude in mind and you actually embody that, you'll start to work towards your goals, because every failure is an attempt that you made to become better at something, but you also have to be smart about it. You can't be doing dumb things over and over and over again. You have to be learning and adapting to the information that you're processing to actually grow at an exponential pace so that you don't end up doing a decade or 15, 20 years worth of learning and you're nowhere and you have nothing to show for it. At this point, we are many, many months later, and I wasn't the same person I was before when I just jumped in and lost a bunch of money. So I knew that this time around, I wasn't going to make that same mistake. I knew that I didn't have the right skill set yet, but I was becoming the right person, and I did have a bit of a strategy. So what I had decided to do is not rush into the markets, but rather try to break the strategy that I had just created to make it stronger. Now, this process was very cyclical. It was over and over again, a constant cycle of breaking, reinventing, doing something new, trying something else, implementing. It worked or it didn't work, get rid of it, go back to square 1, 2, and 3, and just keep doing this over and over and over again. It took 9 months of this consistently with sleepless nights, to the point where I was at school, my friends were telling me I looked great, and I was also neglecting health in general. I wasn't working at this point. I was eating at my desk, and that was it. I just lived in my room. I had given up time with family. I'd given up time with friends. I had given up on a lot of my schoolwork stuff, to the point where a lot of it wasn't even getting done because I was so obsessed with this goal I had in mind. And you don't need to do it to this extent. You can do it and time it properly in your life, but I didn't have anything else going on, and I craved it so badly that that's the extent that I went to to achieve this. Now, I did end up building those healthy relationships later on, but during that 9-month period of that really obsessive behavior, which I try to force myself into now because I did end up burning myself out, which we'll talk about soon, is exactly what led me to become successful as well, is because of how driven I was to make it happen. Now, I knew that if I just put the work in, the trading strategy itself or whatever business idea I had going on in the meantime wasn't going to take me there all the way. You know, even being obsessive is great, but there's steps beyond that, which is being delusional, which is my all-time favorite thing. So I actually started, I'll post them up now. I actually started DMing the Forbes Instagram account a year or two prior to me actually getting the article. I would see their billboards downtown with guys' faces and I would post up like this in front of them. We'll show a picture of that too. But I was so delusional, but also faithful in what I had and working on that it would eventually explode and propel me to be able to actually get featured on there. So those motivations and manifestations of doing certain actions to actually see the results and then make it happen is actually helping you to paint the picture in your mind, so you'll subconsciously know what steps you need to take. Don't get it twisted that I do actually regret not talking about any of the manifestations or faithful or delusional work, but the fact that I had given up on my health and sleep over the course of that 9 months actually took a toll on me that went on for many months, which I was, trying to dig myself out of health-wise, and it overall wasn't a good situation. So that part I do regret. One of the biggest variables you can control to ensure that you're going to be working at your full and best capacity with your fullest potential is actually your body and your mind. So taking care of those two vital things, which obviously is what keeps you going, gets you to wake up in the morning and be able to actually focus when it's not deprived of the necessary vitamins and minerals that your body needs, is going to help you overall. So make sure that you don't make the mistake I did. Your learning curve will actually become a lot sharper and more exponential if you're able to devote more of your energy, which comes from having those really good healthy habits, to actually push you a lot further. Now, I'm not telling you to go spend 8 hours in the gym every week, but just keeping up with the basics and maybe a little bit more. This is ultimately going to help you to work at a higher standard and have higher and better expectations for yourself as you continue on this journey, so you can slowly become the person that you need to become to achieve those successful things. So it's essential to take care of your body, take care of your mind, and also, most importantly, but I have to mention this, be sober during the process. You want to be in the right state of mind and conscious the entire way through, and really critical of yourself as well, and finding what you can reinvent and do better. Becoming successful in business or any endeavor at all is always a marathon. It is never a sprint, and that's why I see a lot of people who dedicate themselves really devoutly for 1 to 2 months and they get burned out immediately. This is because they just weren't prepped well and they dove into it way too fast and they couldn't keep up with the expectations that they had set. Be the person who can consistently show up, do great work, have high standards, and better yourself over a long period of time, and you're going to be miles ahead of your peers, because every day that you're showing up and you're doing what they do in 2 to 3 days, you can do it in 1 or maybe in a couple of hours because of how hard you're working. Think and look back, they're going to be so far behind you at the point where you've got years on them, and they've been doing it for the same amount of time, but they're in sprints of 1 to 2 months or a few weeks, and when they are working, they're not being effective. Now, as I continue to break and reinvent the strategy, I finally actually came to a plateau of around a 75 to 80% win rate. Now, at this time, I had just started signaling on Discord with someone who I will name drop, Ryan Leroy, which was great to me, got me introduced into the space with signaling, and it started out in his Discord with around 70,000 people in there. I'd actually built up a small cult of people that would always be there whenever I had posted it, and they'd make money and everything was great, and a lot of them were sending me messages about how they were using my trades and signals to paying off the rent, getting new cars, and doing crazy stuff like that, or even just hitting the 80 to 100 to 200% trades that I was posting. All of this is because I was calling out massive moves on Bitcoin and XRP and ETH and AVAX and all these different things for 5, 10, 11%, 12%, 14% at a time, which were huge back then because they weren't over leveraging. They were just really good positions that I was able to identify and post about that other people were able to hop into, because the strategy I was using that I focused on for so long was so robust at this point that I knew it was super effective. Within 2 months at this point, grown my one Discord that I was posting to 70, and I had an audience that went from 70,000 people to 500,000 or more, and I was very active on there, posting every single day, having my trades relayed to all 70 of those servers, and everything was absolutely insane. Mind you, this is all when I'm 17 years old. All these people were using my strategy emojis and sending me pictures of their profits that I would repost, and it was absolutely fueling me with success, and I actually felt purposeful at this point in time, which just made me so fulfilled in life, and I was actually starting to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I had even had various companies trying to approach me to post about their stuff and do an analysis for them, and I didn't jump into things right away. I took a step back and I really examined myself. I needed to master the skill or get as good as possible, and then take what I had created and destroy it in every possible way, shape, or form, test it rigorously until I could make it into something robust. And then that's when I had actually started to put money towards it for the third or fourth time now, and actually saw it grow, is because I had the proper systems in place to actually make me an effective trader. I highly recommend you guys do the same as well. Don't just jump into something and expect to make thousands of dollars, and also don't focus on your first 10 grand when you don't even have $100 in your pocket. Your goal should be your starting capital and building that up. If you're using your time effectively and you're dedicating your time towards the right subjects, you do end up becoming a pro in that category or that specific niche, and that gives you an edge over the other people, is because you're obsessive, you're delusional, and you're faithful in what you're doing, so you have to see it succeed. At this point, you will actually have the traits and characteristics of the person in that specific niche that ends up being able to make that big money, and that is what this is all leading towards, is your slow development into becoming that person that is actually able to be responsible to have and hold that money, because a lot of people that get it easily end up losing it anyways, and the money always flows into the pockets of the most patient and most effective and critical people. And although I just had this absolutely huge break in my trading career, it felt so much better knowing how deserving it was, because there was no imposter syndrome that I had to deal with. There was no shit, should I done this or that. It was something that was deserved, and it was a relief off my shoulders, because for the first time I actually was able to sit back and examine the decisions that I had made, and I had known that those decisions were the right choice at the time, which led me to be successful. And I was still in high school at this point. I was jokingly sitting at tables just making tens of thousands of dollars from different wires and deals and posting and trades and everything, which was absolutely amazing. I had a community that I was growing, and all of this was a deserved and right feeling because I had earned it. After I had graduated, I had taken a step back and really decided to just focus on myself, so I made a conscious decision to walk away from the community and different stuff that I had built so I could really focus on myself. And I had, like I had said before, neglected my health and body and my mind, most importantly, for a long period of time. So I needed to focus and build back what I had neglected and lost. I had fixed my relationship with sleeping and eating and made sure that I was super healthy, and I actually took time out of my day to just sit in my room with my own thoughts. A lot of people don't do that. They always have music in their ears, or they're always attentive towards something. They don't actually just think of what's going on inside their own head. So I really just became a very focused, fulfilled, and at peace person, which ultimately led me to be more successful and stay on top. After years of straight grinding and sleepless nights, I had actually gotten asked to be featured on Forbes, and I was delusional enough to know that on day one I would actually end up being on there. But I can't describe the feeling of how ecstatic it was that at 18 I had been able to accomplish that, because that meant the world. I actually recorded my call with my parents when I had showed them my article. I was playing golf with my buddies, just messing around, and I had gotten the notification that it was posted. I wanted to make this video to just highlight that no matter what skills you have, what your age is, where you come from, whatever it is, as long as you're eager enough, dedicated, you're obsessed, delusional, and faithful to some extent, you will end up getting what you're working hard for and what you desire. It just all translates through actions that compound over time to have exceptional and exponential growth in whatever endeavor it is to be at the top. Because as your skills will improve, your income will also improve. Everything translates, and if it was super easy, everybody would do it. So the last piece of advice that I want to leave you guys with at the end of this video is to never give up, and to also burn the boats. Now, I know this might sound basic and cringe, but I really don't give a fuck. As long as you try in life, that's what matters, and you don't give up, you don't lose. Just believe in yourself and put in the work like I did, so that when you actually achieve what it is, you feel like you earned it and you deserve of it, and you'll become that person that you need to be, that's responsible enough to actually grow and be able to sustain whatever it is that you built. And most importantly, make sure to put the work in your 110% effort. My team puts a lot of time in these videos, to make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment below about what you thought, or if you have any questions, I'll be sure to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. It means the world to me. If you want to get on the phone with me or my team, check the link in my bio. It's a small email Typeform survey, so go ahead and answer a few questions, and you can get on the phone with me as soon as in the next 1 to 3 days. It won't always be available like that, but we do have a big team right now, so make sure to go ahead and lock in that call with me if that's something you're interested in.